Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Charlton Live, sponsored by PSF Steel Limited. My name is Louis Mendes. Hope you guys are well on your Sunday morning. On this week's show, then, we'll be looking back at yesterday's heavy defeat up at Rotherham United. The Addicts undone by 4-2 up at the New York Stadium. Joining me to look back at that game, first up, top right, Mr. Nathan Muller. How you doing, Nath?
Yeah, no, it's good, mate. Well, it weren't good, actually. That was the wrong word, but good to see the old ground yesterday. But a nice little day out in a way, and then you got to go to a football afterwards, haven't you? So that weren't so great. I'm sure we'll talk about it, but yeah, it was one of those bad days at the office, or bad 90 minutes at the office. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, it certainly was. And you are right, we are going to talk about it today. That's the whole reason we're here. But yeah, also joining me, bottom of the screen there, Mr. Benji Cloak. How you doing, Ben?
Yes, mate. All good, thank you. Yeah, it was quite cool. You guys got to see Millmore yesterday. I've watched some videos about like their old ground and how it's still in use. So yeah, I saw your pictures. Quite nice.
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely the highlight of the day for me yesterday, going in to see Millmore. We were walking up to it and I said to Dave, I reckon we might be able to break in. There's bound to be a gate left open somewhere. We might sneak in and have a little look. We got there. There's a full-blown football match going on, so we could just walk in and watch it. But yeah, that was definitely the highlight for me, looking in at that old ground. It's preserved basically as it was probably in like the mid-90s or early 2000s, whenever it was they left it. It's like an old relic. It's like stepping back in time, as is any trip to Rotherham, really. But yeah, that was really good. But yeah, then we watched the football, and obviously, yeah, not a good day at the office for the Addicts yesterday. 2 down within 14 minutes. Got one back just before half time, but went 3-1 down, 4-1 down shortly after the restart. Got one back again at the very end. But yeah, bad day at the office. So on today's show, then we'll hear the goals very shortly. We'll hear the reaction from the Addicts boss, Nathan Jones. We're going to hear from the skipper as well, Docherty, who's fronted up after the game. Want to hear from you guys as well. Morning to everyone who's joining us live on YouTube. Richard says, Steve Bogeyman Evans strikes again. We're consistently inconsistent. I think that's done now with regards to the playoffs. Championship side, I don't think so. Yeah, I mean, that was a bit of an upset yesterday, wasn't it? A championship squad losing away to a League One squad. But yeah, morning David, Spam's in there, Gary is in there, Stephen, all hell let loose is back. Good to see you, mate. Dave Fenn is in there. Dudley saying morning, all back for some therapy, and yeah, hopefully we'll be able to give you some of that. Paul says the pre-match pub was great, the match not so much. Yeah, that was unfortunately the case yesterday. Let us know your thoughts on yesterday's game. Email us studio@charltonlive.co.uk. You can tweet us at Charlton Live, or you can head over to the YouTube comment section, put a live comment in there. That'll be the best way to get our attention. Let us know your thoughts on yesterday's performance. We're going to lose games between now and the end of the season, Nate, unfortunately. That's why we're not going to get in the playoffs, because we have to go through the rest of the season without losing many, but we are going to lose some. I didn't think we'd be losing many games like we did yesterday. None of us saw that coming in that manner. So, like I said, we've been more than capable of not winning games this season, but we haven't really put in many performances like that. Like defensively, the bit we've been good at this season, it was all over the shop. Just didn't see it coming.
No, exactly, mate. We were saying on the train up, weren't we? Both teams don't lose if they score first. So I understandably was saying, well, it's good, not many goals in this. 1-0, 1-0, 0-0, whatever. Can't see it, but it'd be quite cagey affair. And 15 minutes in, it goes, well, that's a turn up for the books. But as you say, look, we're not going to win every single game. But I think the worrying part for me is our mentality seemed to go after the first goal. We just seemed to crumble. And I know, obviously, we'll go on to Nathan's sort of post-match, but he did say the basics, and I know it can wind people up, but the first 2 goals especially are comical. And I tweeted yesterday, what it seemed like is we had a massive injury crisis, and we turned around to Luke Berry, Tyrese Campbell, and Miles and said, "Can you do a job at centre half for me today, please?" And that's how it looked. They just looked all over the show, and it's like Lloyd had, has been brilliant. He had one of his worst games. Mitchell sort of looked edgy again. Gillespie looked edgy, and to be fair to Rotherham, from the get-go, 4-2 flattered us. And I think I was delighted that it was only a 2-goal margin, because at half-time I thought this is going to be 4-5-6 if we carry on. And they absolutely deserved their win by a long stretch. Frustratingly playing 2 wingers as centre forwards. Who'd know? We've got TC up there and whatnot. But I can't really grumble at the end result, because we fully deserve what we got. And I thought Rotherham were absolutely brilliant. Won every single battle from 1 to 11. Disappointing that we lost the game, but it's the manner how you lose a game. And I think Tuesday's going to require a certain personality from a player. That's what you're going to have a reaction after that, because like you say, you can lose the odd game. Like Reading wasn't great, but it was a different sort of game. We sort of capitulated a little bit. We go in 2-1 at half time. It's a different game second half. You go 3-1. I think everyone sort of knew, well, that's game over, sadly. But yeah, as you say, it's the manner of how we lost, which was quite concerning.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, we've lost games this season through playing badly, or lack of firepower, not taking chances, letting in the odd goal. But I don't think I've seen us lose our bottle as much as we did before. But I think before we even went a goal down yesterday, we weren't as up for it as they were. They were right in our faces. It was unusual in the context of the season. Like I say, we've lost games before, and we will lose games again. But that was a weird way to lose a game from us, and it was really poor. But let's have a quick listen back to the goals anyway, so you can hear Brownie and Greg and Terry saying that same sort of stuff as well.
Charlton box, and the first one to react is Wilson, in touch, off the post and in. Andre Green, I think it is, who applied the finish. Charlton didn't deal with the ball in the box. We thought we might have got away with it in the first instance. When the ball across didn't seem to. There wasn't enough of a good connection on it. And it ran kindly for Green, who again scuffed his ball a shot forward, but enough to beat Maynard Brewer onto the right-hand post and dribble in on the other corner. Jones misses the ball forward, and Rotherham can attack again. And they're into the penalty area. Shot coming in, and it's the second goal for Rotherham. Alex McDonald. It was an innocuous ball forward that Jones completely missed, and it allowed Green to get on the end of it. The ball across found McDonald in the box, and he finished back across Maynard Brewer to give the home side a 2-0 lead.
Yeah, disastrous start, simple as that. And you get a feel for games when they kick off, and it might take 2 or 3 minutes for it to become clear. But they've started like a team that wants to get their noses in front. They knew how important the first goal was going to be in this game, and we have started really slowly, really poorly. We're not at it. The tempo's
Charlton won the ball back as Docherty on the right-hand side. Low cross towards the near post. Lieberman, it's a great finish, and Charlton are back in this game. They were looking for that way back in it, and they get it through Miles Lieberman.
And that changes everything. In a half, we've been absolutely bullied.
With the free kick. Whipped in with pace. It's a good delivery, and Small gets a touch. Jules with the shot, Jules with the header, and Rotherham get a third. Again, it's poor Charlton defending. As the ball deflected down to Jules, whose initial effort was blocked, but then rebounded to the centre half, who headed it beyond Maynard Brewer. And Rotherham regain their 2-goal advantage.
Yeah, well, we've not dealt with anything really into the box today, which is really uncharacteristic of this back line, but it's Small and Jones not dealing with the ball.
Powerful header, and it's flicked on by Green towards Wilkes, who's onside. Wilkes lofts it over. Maynard Brewer, has he got enough on it? He has. And Rotherham have a fourth. And it all came from a header from a Doffin, which was then flicked on for Wilkes, who just needed to get there first ahead of Maynard Brewer. And Rotherham make it 4.
Yeah, difficult to know what to say, really, when it's sort of unfolded in front of your eyes. And like I said, I've been out there in the middle of a picture and it's happened to me, and it's not very nice. But you are open to criticism when you step onto that pitch, as you are open to the praise when you step out on that pitch. And unfortunately, the manner in which we're conceding today is leading to a very difficult afternoon for the players on the pitch.
By way of Godden, trying to get the shooting position. Oh, that's a lovely finish. Matty Godden, probably the goal of the game. Too little, too late, potentially. And the fans around us chuntering, because it did look like there was an offside in there in the build-up to that. But Matty Godden scores a goal that brings the score back to 4-2.
You got to love Terry there. Just the word potentially there after he said too little, too late. He's forever the optimist, isn't he? Ben, where do you want to start on yesterday? I mean, like the manner of the goals, particularly obviously the two in the first 15 minutes, really set the tone for the afternoon. But as I think Brownie said in comms, and we sort of said earlier, like it felt like it had already sort of been heading in that direction from the very off. They were winning battles. They were winning 50-50s that we were just not coming out with anything. It felt like in that opening sort of exchanges.
Yeah, I'd say that Brownie's right in commentary as well. I mean, as you said, every 50-50, every second ball, we might have been winning the first ball from a long ball forward, but straight away, if we've gone to head it away, they were winning that second ball every time. It was as if like the midfield and defence had a massive gap between them, and they were just running riot. And as Nath said earlier, it was like that game could have easily been 5, 6, 7 like goals against us. It reminded me of the Bristol Rovers game where you sat there in disbelief and thought, how is this team getting carved open by not a great side? They've picked up lately, but this season they were they're still below us in the table. So I agree with Nathan Jones. It was uncharacteristic. I mean, this side have conceded 2 goals in the last 6 league games, and one of them was a belter from Richard Kone. So yeah, it's hard to put your finger on it because we haven't seen it that often. We're building foundations from this defence. Whereas yesterday, I mean, you looked at it and you were sat there in disbelief that we were giving 2 wingers the open rein to just fire shots at us, cutting behind. I mean, you look at that first goal. That first goal comes from a cross where it's not a cross and then he connects with it and then it rolls in the back of the net and you go, oh, okay, that's a decent finish. It's a cross where Malik he turns his back on it, it hits his leg and then rolls to Andre Green, who goes to shoot, who kicks it off his standing foot, and it rolls about 1 mile per hour in the back of the net. Don't get me wrong, Maynard Brewer couldn't do anything about it because it was right in the corner of the goal. But Lloyd is the wrong side of Andre Green anyway. Gillespie kind of goes with him, Wilkes, and it's just so soft. Do you know what I mean? It's like how on earth are we defending so soft when we've battled out against like Wickham a few weeks ago when they threw everything at us. I mean, Reading the other week when Lloyd made that amazing block against Harvey Nibbs, and you're thinking, all right, like we trust this defence. It's going forward and creating chances. But that first half, I mean, was just it was uncharacteristic. And people can blame the manager, but we've got a lot of faith in that defence. And I don't know what happened to it yesterday. And I mean, the second one for me, I would probably go on to it, but it started in midfield with Docherty not even jumping to head the ball. Guy goes over the top of him, heads it through. All right, Lloyd then makes a massive mistake by missing the ball. But I think that goes to show where it mattered for me yesterday. Everywhere around the pitch, we weren't battling hard enough. We know what Steve Evans' side is. as you put out that stat yesterday, that Nathan Jones has failed to ever beat him in a game. They press, they get in your face, they do the ugly stuff, they run about. And yeah, it's just so disappointing yesterday that something we've built a lot of pride on from last season just shattered immediately in that first half.
Yeah, and it never really looked much like getting better. Obviously, we had that little spell just before half time. And then it summed up sort of the character, I guess, that we were showing defensively. And again, it's not just the centre halves; it's it's a unit, it's a midfield, as Ben talks about there. But the manner of the goal we conceded just before half time as well. Like, again, another thing we've overall have done all right at this season, defending set pieces, but we looked at 6s and 7s and 8s and 9s from them yesterday, Nathan. That goal just before half time was another just absolute calamity.
Yeah, I think for me that was not the worst goal in terms of to watch, but that was the goal that changed the game for me. You go in, as I said earlier, you go in 2-1. That's a different game, and then they're maybe a little bit edgy, but I don't know how many times Green and Wilkes have played up front together. I don't think very many when I looked yesterday, but I could be wrong. And to me, it looked like we didn't expect it. That looked to me like we was expecting at least Clark Harris or Hugo to play, and then they were going to have a bit of a battle. But they literally said, right, we'll have pace. We'll just go in behind you every 5 minutes. And we looked panicky. But yeah, the 3 goals, yeah, as Ben said earlier, they're sort of uncharacteristic. But unfortunately, they're just we just didn't win our headers. And I said, Nathan said in his interview that it's pretty basic. And I know it can frustrate people. But you look at the first one, standard, don't win your header. Second one, Jones's one, you can see that one there. The third one, even worse, where Jones goes up, Small doesn't react or thinks Jones is getting it. It was just a calamity all the way through. But yeah, I agree. That third goal was bad because it's just a different game then. It changes your halftime team talk completely for me, for both sides. Like, they've got their tails up. We go and heads down after getting back into the game against the runner play I'd had. And we've given ourselves a little bit of a chance here. Let's just use our game knowledge, stay in the game to half time, get in 2-1, regroup, and we'll come out again second half, and hopefully you get a different bit of an outcome. But you're going 3-1. It's just, are we really going to get free? I know we've put fire past Northampton and stuff, but Rotherham aren't Northampton. We defended like we were Northampton yesterday at points. And that was the really disappointing thing. And I'm not going to go overboard about it. Yeah, we were poor, but you're going to get those games. And I think, like I said earlier, it's about the response now from the players who play on Tuesday. And I would literally do, if I was Nathan, I'd play that same 11 and go, right, you've proved yourself. Because I think there's a couple in there that had a bad game. Well, a lot of them had a bad game, but I don't want to change it. I think you've got to see what their character's like and what their personality's like to get us out of that situation and start a little bit of a run again.
Yeah, when I was trying to write my match report yesterday, I was given the unenviable task of trying to pick a man of the match. We ended up picking Tayo Eden because he got a clean sheet on his debut for Peterborough because I hadn't had one all season. That was a tough choice. The second goal then, obviously, I spoke to Greg Docherty after, and obviously I talked about the mistake from Lloyd. And as we know with every goal, and Greg did say this, there's going to be a mistake from someone in every goal. That's just the way it is. And Lloyd's been... Well, the thing I find interesting about this one is obviously Lloyd has been great this season, player of the year, nailed on so far, all that, but he's made a huge error here, and how he reacts to it personally will be interesting. I mean, there's loads going on behind the scenes, obviously contract negotiations and all that, whatever's going to happen with that, but also mentally just on the football pitch, when he made a mistake last season, he had a horrible little spell, didn't he, around sort of I think it was either side of when Appleton got sacked. Whether he was carrying that injury at the time, we don't know. But how he reacts over the next few weeks is going to be interesting, Ben. Because it was a howler. He'll put his hands up and say it was a howler. But it's been uncharacteristic for him. So he's got to show, his head strength now to get back into the rhythm that he's been in over the course of the majority of the season.
Yeah, he will. I mean, what I did like about that yesterday is that although obviously it was a howler, he does sprint back and nearly clear it off the line as the goal goes in. So he didn't exactly just give up hands on head or anything. So I think he'll have enough confidence. Hopefully, I'm sure he will have enough confidence over his performances this season to kind of back himself up. Whereas last season, I mean, I think we only had one clean sheet leading up to when he was out of the squad through injury as well. So, yeah, I mean, it's gutting to see because, as you said, he's player of the year material so far this season. And since he's come back into the side after his injury, we've looked by far a better side. And that's hence why our good form has continued. I still think as well, as much as he does make a mistake there, Greg Docherty's got to look at himself. I mean, you just look at that bit and he, like, as if he's crouching down, doesn't expect the guys to come over him. So I think it was a collective unit yesterday. I don't want to pick out Lloyd, because obviously when you see a glaring mistake like that, just like Alex Mitchell on Tuesday, you start to pick holes and then you go, oh yeah, well, we should bring in another defender. How's Jones not seen that? And then you have to reflect and go, no, come on. Like, this lot are good enough in defence. They've proven it over the last few weeks. All right, we might need some backup that are a bit better, but it's just, as Nate said, one of those days where I'm sure they'll go through the goals one by one and look at what they could have done better. And as I said, I think yesterday we weren't battling the whole way around that pitch, as you'll see from the third one, as Leeburn gets beaten for the header, and then it just rolls through and they're through on goal. So yeah, I've got belief in Lloyd that I'm sure he'll pick himself up from that and reflect and think, right, what went wrong for me last year? Well, I've done a lot better this season, so I've got a lot more confidence to rely on. And yeah, luckily enough for us, this game on Tuesday comes thick and fast for us. A game against an under fire manager and an under fire squad. So one we can really look to take our anger out from Saturday against them.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, that'll be interesting. So we'll talk a bit more about the Bolton game later on in the show. But yeah, the fourth goal, as David said in the chat, listening to the commentary yesterday, all I kept hearing was the name Malik Wilks. Gosh, he was all over us like a rash. It was like, oh, my time machine's worked. It's 5 years ago all of a sudden again, because he was, you remember him in that playoff season with Doncaster, and he gave us a horrid time at parts of that season, and yesterday was, yeah, he was very, very busy and very good. And I mean, a great finish for the fourth goal, you got to say, but also again, how many times we don't see players go through 1-on-1 against us that often, and it was so glaring yesterday that one flick on and one ball round the corner and he was through, like between Gillespie and Jones, like he was sort of in between them, and it was just the defending yesterday. It was just so weird because you don't see that from us, but it was so poor yesterday.
Yeah, no, like you say, we don't see it, and I think that was what the shock was. I think there was after that second one, I was just there in just like, if I was imagining it, I'm not saying like we're the best defensive team in the world or anything, but like you say, we don't really get carved open that much. So that's why, after the game, you just got to sit back and, you know what, Rotherham were brilliant. Like, in every point, Malik Wilks and Andre Green caused us a lot of problems, and they should have won by more if they did, if they took their chances. But sometimes you go, yeah, they were really good, but also you've got to be, fair. And there's times where you can't defend the indefensible, and that's what we're not doing today. And they went through on goal. That fourth goal, great little finish, similar to Miles. If Miles did that, which he did the other week, great finish. But it got towards the end of the game, and it was like, right, just blow the whistle, ref. Like, we don't want to make it even worse, because you knew we were off our day. Like, we were clutching really when we got the 2 goals. Great finish by Matty, but I just think the goals that Malik got summed up the game. Like you say, we don't really get carved open, but we did. And again, yeah, it's about moving on to Blackpool. I'm not going to dwell on it too much. It's not going to ruin my weekend. You get beaten fair and square. You put your hands up, be man about it, and take it on the chin. You take your medicine, don't you? So, yeah, it was a bad game, and the fourth one sort of sealed it. I had a little bit of a cheer at the end, which was funny, but I thought the comeback was on, and like Terry did. But yeah, like literally, they cause us all sorts of problems. It doesn't happen often. And you just got to take it and then try and figure out what went wrong, because everyone had an off day. Usually you can carry 1 or 2 bad days, but literally everyone was off yesterday.
Yeah, John said it highlights a lack of depth and quality in the squad defensively. It was comical. Brazilian says, feel sorry for the travellers. It's a lot easier to see us go 2-0 down while strolling around Knoll Park. Don't want to get some good signal there. Jason says, I'm not sure goalkeeping and the defence has played that badly under Jones. I thought Michael Hector and Terrell Thomas snuck back into the side yesterday. Did feel a little bit like it yesterday. Paul said Brown Dog looked distinctly hangdog at Donny Station. Yeah, me and Nath sat on the train back with Brownie, and he was highlighting some of the deficiencies in the performance yesterday, as I'm sure you can imagine. Joseph says, Charlton always raise my hopes, get me dreaming of playoffs, and then bring me crashing back to reality. And that's why I've been sort of saying over the last few weeks, and I get the graph out and I get the results matrix out, and I think people get carried away with, you can put a run together for sure, but the damage that we've done in the first half of the season means that we've gone 2 games without a win now. It doesn't sound like much, Ben, but we can't really afford to do that too often. So yeah, a reality check, I think, for anyone who was getting carried away, certainly yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, look, how many times have we been banging on this show that we need consistent performances? And because in the last 5 or 6 games we've had that, even against Reading, where I don't know how we didn't come out with a win in that game. We were brilliant. We had a couple cleared off the line. Their keeper jumped in front of a few. That we came away feeling positive because they're in the playoffs and we outplayed them. We played really well. Look at Tuesday's game and we played really well, created loads of chances, couple of mistakes from the corner and Alex Mitchell, but we're thinking, all right, it's a championship side. We're looking at it positively. But as you said, and as we all hate to admit, the graph is right. I mean, you need to go on an amazing run of consistently winning games. I mean, Leyton Orient have gone on an incredible run. And that's hence why they've gone from the bottom around the playoffs. Will they keep that up? Who knows? But that's the kind of results you need to keep picking up. And yesterday, you just can't afford to have if you want to have that playoff spot. Because teams around you then got to hope that other teams around you don't pick up the results. And I know there were a few that kind of went against the grain yesterday with Barnsley losing, and I know Reading lost to Stockport, but you can't bank on other sides. You've got to bank on yourself. And look, I mean, we could be sat here on Thursday saying, all right, forget about the Rotherham result, the Bolton game, we've redeemed ourselves, and what a great result. That's what we've got to look at in the whole context of stuff, and hopefully we look at yesterday as a bit of a slip up. But as you say, if you want to get up there around the playoffs, you can't really afford to have many slip ups, and especially against a team like Rotherham who are around us, against they're a team that have just come down last season, a manager who knows how to get out of this league. So then you're kind of looking at them thinking, that was a bad team to lose against. But we've got so many tough games coming up. So yeah, it's hard to draw optimism from like the last 6 results and then yesterday, because you think, yeah, it's gone. But you got to look at the grand scheme of things and think, well, you just got to take a game as it comes and think there can be runs out there, but you got to block those results out of our system.
Jake said, I'm very concerned that we haven't made any rotation, considering we were told Kane and Watson, brackets, although I don't rate Watson, were back soon. Really hope we can get a centre-back, creative midfield and winger in the transfer window. Joseph says, morning, we need sharper focus from the players on the pitch and clear direction and strategy from the side lines. I'll just look at a tweet that just came in as well from Alan. Says, talk about crash back down to earth after the championship squad comment. Does Nathan Jones really believe that? I'm pretty sure the fans don't think so. It was an unnecessary comment and now puts pressure on himself when the fans had sympathy that more quality players needed to get out of League One. I mean, it's something he said in an interview, so it's obviously it's out there, Nath. I mean, do you agree with Alan? Do you think it's put pressure on the side?
Not necessarily. I think when the comment come out, I can kind of understand why he tried to go down that road, because we played very well, dominated a game against an established championship side and deserved to win. I get that bit, but to say that we were a championship squad, I don't know if he meant for it to come out like that. I don't know, or if he genuinely thinks that this squad is championship level. But I don't think it's put pressure on the side, because he's going to come out and try and G him up and just go, right, look, you went toe-to-toe with Preston, you were brilliant, get it. But I'd be amazed if in his heart of hearts, and if you asked him privately, if he genuinely thinks this is a Championship squad, that he would say the same. That's my opinion. I don't think he does, but only he can answer that. But I don't think it adds an unnecessary pressure because we're literally middle of the league, inconsistent. If we were top of the league flying and he said it, you can kind of gauge it. But I don't think the players would have gone in there a little bit more nervy because of the comment. I just think we just played really badly. And as I said, it happens. It won't be the first. It's not the first time, and it will happen again in our lifetime many times. But I don't think it's added any unnecessary pressure. It's not ideal, the timing, considering the subsequent result against the middle of the pack team like Rotherham, who, that's no disrespect, they fully deserve to win. But I just think he had to come out and say something really positive after that game, because it's easy to jump on the bandwagon and be like, it's another defeat. But we played really, really well on Tuesday, and it's just a shame that we didn't back it up with a good performance with your bread and butter in the league. But I don't think any players would be hiding behind it going, oh, well, I was a bit under pressure for that one because the gaffer said, we're a Championship level squad, So, but yeah, I just think it's really bad timing.
Yeah, as Trim said as well, some newfound optimism was killed within 15 minutes yesterday. Steve says, yesterday showed what we knew from the start, a lack of strength and fight in the midfield, along with little to no attacking threat out wide, another failure of the season. And obviously, it was interesting, that we switched up, didn't we? We went to maybe the Diamond sort of midway through, maybe about half an hour. Terry Small came off, who'd obviously been a big part of what we've been good at last couple of weeks. So there was changes to try and get back into it, but we didn't really. Steve says there's going to the Meet the Director show should be fun after that display. Yeah, it's coming up Thursday, I think. So that's going to clash with us. So we're probably going to move to do like a reaction thing after, but we'll work that out sort of nearer the time. The team are staying up now until Bolton, Ben. And if we'd gone to Rotherham yesterday and like smashed them and like everyone was like buzzing, and now they're having three days away with the lads to really get in their stride, that might have been a different story. But now they've all gone back to some hotel tonight just to stew over it for 3 days. So the mentality work of how you turn that into a one-off and not get yourselves back in a rut again is going to be quite important for obviously Jones and the coaching staff over the next couple of days.
Yeah, and I think as a side, because we've kept with the same 11 for a while, I think the team have been really gelling well, and there's been the goals we've been getting, you can tell, because you expect players to be playing in positions, making certain runs. TC and Miles have struck up a really good relationship like that, and you think, okay, this is looking good. So you can only hope that it can help go towards that, really. But yeah, can't be nice for them after a big thumping, and you got to stay all together up north, going over the game, talking about it. But who knows? It can work in our favour. I know a lot of people, especially when Godden scored that goal yesterday, were like, "Oh, I can't believe he's not been in the squad for ages, and Jones doesn't trust him." And blah, blah. I mean, it certainly is a reminder that he's about, but we've got to remember, Godden has been playing. He has been given chances. And you don't even know he's playing when he's been starting or come off the bench, to be honest. He hasn't been putting himself about. Has he got hunger now from being out in the cold and come back? And yeah, great strike yesterday, but I haven't even seen him have a shot like that this season. So is that something new? Is that something like we can discuss and going forward, how to get Godden in the side? And as fans are saying, these players haven't had some of these players now won't be able to do Saturday, Tuesday in our next few weeks. Is there a chance for rotation there? Like Kane Ramsey maybe in the next few weeks coming back into the side? Or as Nath Muller says, do we keep with this same 11 and push them out there? So, yeah, it might help us. I think, was it after the Walsall game, didn't we stay up as well? And then we got a decent result after that. I can't remember. No, it was one game. It wasn't Walsall game. But yeah, look, I think, we need some character from this side. We need some bonding that can fire this result out of us. And hopefully that can do them good. But also, I can imagine this morning's not feeling too good, not in your own bed and waking up trying to take your mind off it. You've got it there, and hopefully we can, fire this result out of us, get together and take advantage of Bolton being in a strange place right now.
It must be really awkward the next morning at the breakfast table if you're sat near Nathan Jones, who's he must have gone in and read the riot act yesterday in the dressing room, and then you sat there with your cornflakes. Was all right, okay. It must be weird. Lovely stuff. Right, let's hear from Nathan Jones. One of the shorter interviews we've done. What was there to say yesterday other than what he did say, which is it was rubbish. But let's have a listen to what Nathan Jones had to say after yesterday's heavy defeat over at Rotherham. A big defeat here at Rotherham. What did you make of the game today?
I thought we were really poor. Didn't think we did any of the basics right that you have to win a game. You know when you come here what type of game you're going to have, and they were more aggressive than us. They ran harder than us. They won headers. They won second balls. They held the ball up, and we didn't do any of that.
I mean, it's completely uncharacteristic from your side, particularly at the back today.
Look, the goals are catastrophic. The goals are big errors in terms of a lot of things. Didn't do the basics well, but they've had other chances as well. You know, we didn't defend our box anywhere near. They put one ball in with the wrong side, which we were all afternoon, and they end up scoring, you know, from not a clean strike. Then a big error from Lloyd, and Lloyd's been excellent for me, you know, it really has, but big error. And then we get back in the game right on the stroke of half time, so you think, right, okay, it could change something, and then we immediately go back to today's default and give the ball away, give a foul away, don't defend the box, and then they score. So at no point did we put them under the pressure that we normally put under teams, and that's the disappointing thing. So we weren't us today.
Yeah, I was going to say it's a performance that you wouldn't have seen coming over the last few weeks as well.
Well, I wouldn't have seen it coming anyway. When we've won games, when we've lost games, we've been by the odd goal, and you know, we've been really aggressive or front-footed, and something's happened. We haven't taken chances, or someone scored from a distance. But today, look, they could have scored more, and that's the frustrating thing, because from a real good defensive platform and from a real good momentum and form that we've been in, we've gone to a championship side and hardly conceded a chance. We've come today and conceded 7 or 8.
Well, you mentioned the mistake from Lloyd, again uncharacteristic from him. I guess he'll have to try and bounce back now.
Well, everyone, look, and that's not what we can't let is that creep in, because we haven't been like that. You know, we've probably, since I've been here, we've had 2 performances like that where we haven't defended well, Bristol Rovers and this. So we have to make sure they go back to default now.
Yeah, and I guess a game coming on Tuesday might be the perfect remedy for that.
Well, I'll tell you at midnight on Tuesday.
PSF Steel Limited is a trade supplier of steel fabrication and erection services to the new build, construction and refurbishment market in southern England. With their unrivaled depth of experience, they excel at providing their customers with high quality and cost-effective steel fabrication solutions. Their customers include national and regional house builders, such as Barratt Homes, Bellway Homes, the Vistry Group and Taylor Wimpey. They pride themselves on their service-based ethos and commitment to customer service excellence, which includes full technical backup and on-site services and support. If you would like more information, go to www.psfsteel.co.uk. That's www.psfsteel.co.uk.
Hello fellow addicts, I'm so excited to tell you all about our micropub, the River Ale House. The River Ale House is based in East Greenwich. It has 6 Pub of the Year awards, an ever-changing selection of amazing beer. It's owned by Charlton fans, walkable to the ground in just 20 minutes with buses that go direct to the Valley too. If your matchday routine includes a drink with your friends, you must join your fellow addicts in the River. See you soon.
Right, welcome back to Charlton Live on your Sunday morning, looking back at yesterday's 4-2 defeat up at Rotherham United, Nath. What did you make of what Nathan Jones had to say? Like I say, there's only so many ways I can ask you why it was so bad. So that's why it was such a short interview, because there wasn't much more I could say, and there probably wasn't much more he could say about that.
Yeah, exactly. It was like I said earlier, you can't defend the indefensible. You can't really sugarcoat it and polish a turd. So, yeah, it's bog standard. You probably said apart from being angry and being similar to how he was at Reading away, it's what I expected. He said everything made sense, what everyone saw. But yeah, I think, like I said, Tuesday's going to be interesting because he's going to want a reaction. He sounded very cold. I don't know where you were. I don't know if he was in a fridge or something, but he sounded freezing. But there weren't a lot to get excited about. So, but yeah, listen, I don't want to be too negative about it. I know we were poor, but We know it was very uncharacteristic of us, and he said that. Maybe, you was talking just now about staying up in a hotel together. It can go one of two ways. You could be cooped up and do it, or it could bring them all together a little bit and go, right, lads, that weren't good enough. Let's get back on the wagon, and we go again. But he sounded despondent as anyone would, really. He wasn't going to come out and go, well, we tried hard, but we always try hard. That's standard. That's what you've got to do. It's the minimum. So, and he was honest with Rotherham as well. They should have had more goals. They should have. And if I was a Rotherham fan, I'd be sitting here going, mate, how did we not win that 6-7? So, yeah, can't really say much about his post-match. It's exactly what is on the tin, isn't it, yesterday in the performance.
Yeah, Dave, on the hotel, Dave says, I hope the hotel isn't like the Traitors one. They need to have Claudia Winkleman around the breakfast table. Well, that would, I'm sure, make it more entertaining for the next couple of days. Ben keeps talking about the inconsistency. So, to be honest, it's not the result, it's the inconsistency. You won't go up with form like ours. Because I remember so it was 0-0 with Reading, wasn't it, a couple of weeks ago. I remember thinking, look, dropping points here and there, like against Reading, or losing away against Rotherham, that's not the reason you don't make the playoffs. It's the fact that you do it over and over again. You're allowed to lose the odd game. That's just the way it goes. But yeah, it's the inconsistency that we don't leave that as one result here and there. That's why we got to make sure this time that it is. But at the start of the season, when we got on a run, and it lasted for a little while.
Yeah, that's the point. I mean, we were all worrying, weren't we, around December time, thinking, I really hope this season doesn't peter out like other seasons. And we see the same old, like, going into January, no optimism, even if we sign players that won't make a difference. And we actually had a great December. And you come into this month feeling confident that we can push on and maybe add one or two to our squad after we've let a few go. But yeah, that result has really kind of blunted our hopes yesterday, because you think if we would have won yesterday, we're only then 4 points off the playoffs, and that dream starts to become a reality if we keep consistently putting in the performances. I mean, I brought the Leyton Orient story to light earlier because, I mean, that is an incredible run, and you kind of go, whoa, where's that come from? But that unfortunately is what you need. I mean, I think they won 7 out of 8 recently, and I know they drew yesterday, but that's the kind of consistency you need to put in. But I think, well, then we look at our fixtures coming up, and we have got to go to Birmingham. We've got to play some. Well, Bolton is going to be an incredibly tough game on Tuesday, because, as I said, their backs are right up against the wall at the moment, and everyone's calling for their manager to be out. But it's how this team reacts. If this team's got character and can put in a performance, and with Jones's comments on Tuesday, I understand where he's coming from, because, I mean, we've said it, well, I've said it a lot on this show, where I think in this squad, we've got players who've been there and done it in this league and got promoted. We've got players that, were higher up in this, in the football pyramid last season. So they're coming into it, but it's how they react as a squad, isn't it? It's how they want to work hard enough, work well as a team to work together. It doesn't matter if you've played in the Premier League last season like Berry and Docherty in the Championship and say, oh, that's it. Well, I'm that kind of player. It's what qualities and as you bring as a player to help us as a squad. So I think, we've got it there. I know we need to add a few more, especially in positions like Tyrese, because I think other than him, we don't have players that are direct. I know Thierry's small, but we're talking about someone who started the season as a left back and is now a right wing back. And yeah, he's doing great, but we need another player like that to kind of give us that changeability. And if Tyrese isn't doing it, we got someone else who can. So yeah, look, to try and get that consistency going, just need less results like yesterday, don't you? And if we got players in there that are the standard, well, they need to pick up the rest of the team if they think they're better than that. But we can talk about the traitors a lot more if you like, to be honest. I mean, they could start doing some of the tasks this week in the next few days. That'll help them kill a few people off and they'll find some characters in them.
Oh, so I've never watched it, but so would it involve people in the squad killing other people? Might be
you have a round table. You have a round table and they all say like who they want to basically murder and get rid of, which I think that would be brilliant watching, to be fair.
Yeah, could be a novel way to trim the wage bill, I guess, which obviously is one thing they've talked about doing in this in this transfer window. Stephen says, "Morning, guys. I think it's time to be realistic that yesterday shows we're nowhere near having a championship squad. Flattering to deceive once again." Shiny Phil says he wasn't too concerned about yesterday. The problem was that almost everyone picked that match to have a nightmare. Even Lloyd Jones and Alex Mitchell made uncharacteristic mistakes. Talk about the transfer window. There's been a fair bit of chat. We had a message in from Dino on Twitter. Says, "Morning, guys. We obviously need to bring players in, but do you think we will win this transfer window? Do you think Jones will use loans rather than the club spending money in January when prices are higher?" What do you reckon, Nave? I mean, the club have certainly been sort of dampening any expectations that we're going to go out and sign those people. That has been their messaging. We're not going to sign many people. It's going to be a little bit of business, if that. I mean, do you think yesterday changes anything? Will there be any panicking after yesterday?
Potentially there could be. I don't know, but for me, I don't think it changes much. It might internally, but I just think I agree with Nathan in a way where I don't think we should just get people in for the sake of getting people in, because again, it's just what we've been doing in recent years where we've not really improved. When we got Tedic and stuff like, they're just squad players that ain't really going to improve us. So if we do get anyone in, they have to literally go into 11. They have to. Otherwise, I just think it's just dead money. It's just dead money that I'd rather just put towards something meaningful in the summer if that's the case. Because in my opinion, I don't think we're going to make a little playoff charge or get in the playoffs. So I just think I'd rather use that money effectively in the summer and proper plan for it. But at the same time, I do want us to go on a little run just to keep some sort of hope for this year. So I'm just not going to go into every game just thinking, well, we'll finish 12th, so I don't really care about the result, because that's a pretty depressing way of living. But I don't think it will change much, to be honest. I can't see many coming in. I think maybe one or maybe two. With Tanai and Kane are back training, it's just a case of getting minutes under their belts, because they're not going to come straight in. And then you've maybe defenders, again, maybe one or two. But again, they've got to come in and start. I don't see bringing someone in on loan, because I can't see us getting anyone on a transfer unless something becomes available, which is very rare in January. Because for me, I think usually get cast-offs or people that just need minutes. So I can't see much changing, to be honest, mate. I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but I just can't see anything influential happening to that side.
Yeah, but I agree with Charlie, actually. He said it's good to get players in January and use them in the back end of the season, getting ready for next season, like Coventry and Ramsey. Like, you bed in a team. Yeah, but that's probably pie in the sky chat at this moment, unfortunately, because like I say, they're not really saying they're going to do much. Liam says I'd bring back Corey Blackett-Taylor if possible. Him and Tyrese Campbell on the wings would give us much more threat. But then obviously we're talking about a change of formation again, because I mean, if it's CBT and TC at wing backs, then that's a suicide note. That is, unfortunately. He says Liam also says, realistically though, how many first team ready players are we going to sign in January? I mean, I wonder how much of it will come down to if we've got to get people out as well. I mean, it's quite clear that Terry Taylor's one of those. I think Rich put in a story the other day that there's interest in him in a loan maybe, but there's not interest in Alan Campbell. So obviously he's on loan to us, but I'm guessing the fact that he's still here and still about, and they're trying to drum up interest in him, suggests that we don't have the opportunity to send him back. Maybe Luton have to take him and send him elsewhere, is my guess of that situation. Yeah, Alex sort of said the worrying thing is that that is as good a starting 11 we put out yesterday and bench as we can hope to have this season. We shouldn't be losing a League One game in that manner. Jake, morning all. We're awful. We need to move on. We showed the side can still score. I just hope after this performance, Jones gets backed in the window now. Huge concern, us being 2 weeks in and nothing. All hell let loose says, I don't mind if we don't sign anybody in the transfer window if we can re-sign Lloyd Jones and Thierry Small. Well, yeah, we'll see what happens in the window. Right, yeah, Stephen says clearly the mentality is the problem. They clearly weren't in the zone. I didn't see a dominant leader in the team driving the team forward. I feel like we spoke about this on the train home, actually, Nate. Who's going to grab the game yesterday by the whatnots and drag a performance out of us? I mean, I feel like you asked that question yesterday. Have you come up with an answer overnight?
Well, naturally, I mean, in terms of experience, Doc isn't experienced. He's played in big games, in the Championship and in Scotland, so he is a sort of leader. But I just think yesterday needed a lot more leaders. But at Mitchell's young, Jones is leads at times. Gillespie's gone up winning this league, so it's not like he's short of any experience. But in terms of someone really getting not grabbing people's, whatever, but literally just grabbing people and forcing the issue a little bit. I didn't see it yesterday. And I know some people harp on about Dobbo, but Dobbo wasn't that either for me. Dobbo was more by an example. It wasn't, and it's been a while since we've had someone where you've got that sort of personality. But Brownie also said yesterday on the train that the personality traits of players now to where they were 10 years ago are completely different. You've got they're different characters now, so maybe we're trying to expect things that aren't really there anymore, if that makes sense. To the short answer, no, I haven't got one. It's just Docherty, really, and maybe Matty Godden, but he's mainly on the bench and he's the other side of the pitch. But that was a game yesterday where you needed someone. Because I think if we had a proper leader yesterday, I don't think we could see that third goal, and then it's a different game. That was the biggest changing point in the game for me.
I've just like the concentration levels just before half time yesterday was just the worst. You've almost given yourself a lifeline there before half time to write off that first half and just be like, well, look, we've got ourselves back in it, and then you go and do that. It was just very, very silly, to put it nicely. Let's have a listen then to the Addicts captain yesterday. Greg Docherty wanted to speak to the media after the game. This is what he had to say.
It's a really heavy defeat here and quite an uncharacteristic performance after the last few weeks.
Yeah, but that we spoke before the game on how Rotherham have a way of playing, and we just never we shoot ourselves in the foot so early on. Two goals are so poor from our perspective, and then from there you're giving yourself a mountain to climb. It gets edgy. Their crowd get a lift and they're playing how they want to play, and they make it really difficult. And so frustrating because we talked about it, we know what was coming, uncharacteristic, but it's just no excuses. It's just simply not good enough.
Do you think that it was that start that sort of rocked you today and had Charlton on the back foot for the rest of the game, really, other than when you got the goal back?
Yeah, look, it's not happened as often this season. I think that's the thing as well, that maybe Bristol Rovers is probably the only time some like a performance like that's happened, but we rode through it, and then we get ourselves a lifeline. But to score it just before half time and then concede, that's inexcusable. As a team, as a collective, that can't happen. We've learnt the hard way today. Harsh lesson and a reality check, really, if what we want to do. But there's 22 games left this season. There's a lot, but it's all well and good taking the praise over the Christmas period. We're playing well, we're doing this, that, but basics absolutely cost us today, and we know that from everyone that entered the pitch.
I was going to say, I mean, the type of goals that Charlton conceded today, like set pieces, you've tended to be quite good at those. A long ball over the top and like a ball through, someone going through one-on-one. You don't see that from a Charlton side. Can you put your finger on why it was like that today?
No, look, that's Rotherham are good at that. And no, don't take credit away. That's a strength of theirs, and we just never matched it. Simple as that. From again, everyone that entered the pitch today, there's a real harsh lesson, and obviously I'm going to also say apologise to the fans that travelled up here. It's been they've put all the miles in so far this week, and we've got another one coming up. I know they'll back us, but we need to put it right now, and that's the thing. There is games to come, and the perspective is that there's games ahead that we can put it right, but we cannot shy away from that. And there's been some harsh words said, rightly so, and a lot of people look in the mirror tonight, and obviously again everyone entered that pitch and knows that's not good enough.
There'll be players in the dressing room as well, like someone like Lloyd, who's had a great season, who's had a particular standout moment today that he'll have to try and learn and recover from. As captain, how do you sort of make sure that he doesn't drop his head too much after a moment like that?
No, he won't drop his head. Look, it was a collective, it's not individuals. Look, how many times has Lloyd been an absolute monster for us this season, and he's got us out of so much trouble. And goals come from all sorts of areas. Every goal that's scored, there's a mistake from someone. So it's not a case of Lloyd made a mistake and he scored. There's from 1 to 11. That's how we conceded a goal today. It starts and higher up the pitch and works its way backwards. So it's not an individual thing. It's we can all be better as players, but as a team we weren't good enough, and the goals came from us not being good enough as a team today.
Obviously it's a bit of a grueling schedule, but I said to Nathan, I guess the fact you have got a game to try and put things right on Tuesday is probably a bit of a godsend at this point.
Yeah, and it's our game in hand. So that's the schedule's busy, but when times like this, when you come off a defeat, you want the game. You know, obviously we need to recover, but I wish it was tomorrow in terms of so we can just right. But a lot of people want to prove things wrong. Again, it's a real sore one, but we can't dwell. And you know, again, we just need to look forward. It's a really, really difficult day today, but Tuesday's a chance to put it right.
Yeah, I guess a reminder, as you said today, there's not much wriggle room if Charlton are to make the playoffs, so they've got to put a lot of results together, so there can't be too many more off days like today.
No, of course not, and we know that. Do you know what I mean? But like I said, there's 22 games left, so it's just under half a season where we can put a lot right, and we believe we can. Today we were outdone by not doing the basics today, and that's something that we've been good at in the main. But yeah, the basics absolutely cost us today, no doubt about that. And you know, as long as we learn from it, then that's the important thing.
There you go. That's the skipper, Greg Docherty, speaking to myself after yesterday's game. And what did you make of what he had to say, Ben? Again, like, obviously it's in bad circumstances. It's probably two of the easiest interviews that the player and the manager are ever going to have to do, because it's so clear what you have to say that was just not good enough. There's no denying what happened yesterday, so they have to front up and accept it.
Yeah, as both of them said, there wasn't fine margins in the game yesterday. We got beaten convincingly, and it should have been more, really. And I mean, the last kind of 25 minutes of that game, we weren't really doing much. They weren't really doing much, but we were kind of saving face so that it didn't get worse. Because if 4-2 in the end from a wonder strike, but it could have looked really bad on paper if that was 5 or 6-1, couldn't it? So, yeah, good to hear an honest interview. It happened all over the pitch yesterday. It wasn't just in defence. It starts from attack, works its way through, us pressing, us forcing them into mistakes, and we just weren't at the game yesterday. And that showed after 14 minutes being 2-0 down. So, yeah, as I said, I fought for Lloyd's mistake. I didn't think he helped himself by his reaction to that goal. So, yeah, I know we're trying to talk about leaders. I mean, he's someone that needs to really show his characteristics in terms of that now as a captain. I mean, Nath just mentioned there about what they could do today. I mean, do you know what? Go old school. Everyone, go out on a lash in Manchester, take them out for drinks all day, do a bit of karaoke, find a flight club, do some darts, go pop world at the end of the night, have a laugh, have a dance, and then Monday everyone have a big run and get together. That'll be a great team bonding exercise.
Ben,
if they want us to come up with a bit of banner, I'm up for it.
Ben, to be fair though, I think exactly what you just explained is exactly what they did on Friday night, judging by how we defended.
Yeah, I think it might have been on Saturday morning. Yeah, brilliant. Right. McSquared emails. Yeah, again, we lose to a Steve Evans side. Yeah, still only one league win against Steve, isn't it? He says the defeat in itself isn't a major issue. It's the manner of it. Let's face it, we were well and truly put to the cosh for the first time this season. The 4-2 flattered us. Rotherham could have easily have won by more. Not a realistic, no realistic hopes of promotion. He says after a performance you see like that, that's not a side that will put in that sort of display. It says far too many of our team were off it. Only a clutch of decent signings in the transfer window will give us any hopes of making the playoffs. And as it stands, it doesn't look like reinforcements are on the way. Gary said it was a disgraceful performance. No way are we near a championship squad, more like League Two. I can't see us signing anyone in January. We're stuck with this team. Tuesday will be interesting. Chrissy says, is it just me? But when Maynard Brewer's been dropped, i.e. in the FA Cup game, he tends to play poorly. The next game, Nathan, what did you make of Ashley yesterday?
It's hard because I mean, I don't know if he was at fault for all of the goals or one of them, or because again, when I watched back to the highlights this morning, it's just like I couldn't watch the replay of the highlights. It was just too painful. But I mean, yeah, I mean, he's done okay since he's come in. But a lot of it for me was before he got there. So I think the only one that could be laid to blame, which I still think is a bit harsh, is the fourth, maybe, that he didn't come out. But he's still a long way away. So even unless he's Usain Bolt, he's still going to have a challenge to get there before Malik Wilkes. But from all the other goals, you know, they're all just individual errors. And again, like, we've got to remember, like, these players aren't doing it on purpose. Like, they just had a bad game. You know, I'm not going to get too emotional over it. But I think Ash has done okay. It's just interesting, really, who Nathan sees as his number one. That's what I really. So he obviously started with Mannion, and then he got injured. Then Ash took his chance, but there were games where both of them have been a bit suspect. There was the sort of calamity on Tuesday between Mannion and Mitchell, which I think was more Mitchell's fault than Mannion's. But yeah, so I was interested to see that Mannion didn't start again. But I didn't think he was at much fault for most. But I might be wrong if I watch him again for the 5th time. But I just think it was just defensively all over the place. And I think you probably could have had 2 goalies and still probably would have lost the game.
Yeah, and none of the goals I massively was looking at Ashley for immediately, but I don't think he was the major problem yesterday, but we'll see. Right, let's look ahead to Bolton then. On Tuesday, they're having a dreadful season. Ben, I've got more points than us, of course, though. But their managers it's got really weird at Bolton with Ian Evatt, and they've been doing this very consistently since about November. They win one, then they go 2 or 3 without doing so. Then they win one, you think, oh, maybe. And then, so they've just come off the back of a 3-1 loss at Rotherham. So, yeah, it's not just us. And then, they rescued a point last minute against Cambridge United, who, as we all know, are pretty terrible, yesterday at home. Everett's come out having a bash at the players. The fans have been having a bash at him all season. It is toxic at the Uni Bowl at the moment. So are we going to turn up and twist the knife, or is it Dr. Charlton coming to help cure all their ails on Tuesday night? How do you see it going?
Well, it does seem like a perfect team for us to come up against, and you've got to be trying to get an early goal in that. If you get an early goal, their supporters are going to be right on their backs, and I bet they were yesterday, losing to a team like Cambridge for most of the game. Even when they equalised yesterday, Cambridge went straight down the other end and made it 2-1. So they're fragile. They are fragile. The fans, I don't know if you saw on social media, but when they were 3-0 down to Rotherham, when the 3rd goal went in, all the Bolton fans were cheering and clapping and celebrating as if it was one of their goals, and all holding up banners saying Ever out and get him out and all that stuff. But they're still buying players in the window. They just bought one of Peterborough's best players in midfield in Randall. You look at their team on paper and you go, cool, that's one of the best sides in the league, hence why they were pipped to be up there this season. And I think, Bolton fans are scratching their heads, moaning about the manager. Can't believe he's still there. But be careful what you wish for, innit? Who knows what's happening behind the scenes there in terms of different, with the owners and stuff like that. And who knows, there might be a side that put so much faith in, and then when that manager leaves, it might even go worse. So. Anyway, we know they're a good side. We know they've got good players. Santos always seems to play well against us, but when we played him earlier in the season, we had the better over him. So, yeah, it's going to be a game that I think we should be bang up for. We need to forget about yesterday and really focus on. We're playing a team in terrible form, and if we get on their backs early on, then their supporters are going to be so against them, so against the manager, and we need to play off that. So, yeah, we need a performance where we press them high, press them into mistakes, maybe change up, maybe bring a couple in that are really far and ready to go to be in their faces, or maybe stick with the same team and right their wrongs. But ultimately, I think it is a good opportunity for us coming up against an under-fire side to really exact our revenge. We're not playing against a team in form. We're playing against a team who are out of form, and supporters are starting to get on their back. So, yeah, I think great opportunity for us to right the wrongs of yesterday.
Lovely stuff. Charlie says if we beat them, they might sack Ian Evatt. But there's been loads of results this season where they've had a loss, and I think, that'll be the end for him. And then he still lasts another couple of games, and he gets a win, and then a stay of execution. And he had like a vote of confidence on the board around Christmas time. I saw a statement their owner put out, or their chairman, or whoever the chairperson, whoever it was. But interesting. Right, we've gone well over time here, so we'll leave it there. Massive thanks for everyone who's joined us this morning. Look back at yesterday's defeat, unfortunately, up at Rotherham. We'll always have Millmore, Nathan. We'll always have a highlight from yesterday. Seeing Gary Docherty in the flesh once more was a real honour for us. So massive thanks to everyone who's tuned in. Big thanks, Nathan and Ben. Been an absolute pleasure as always.
Cheers, lads.
Cheers, guys.
Good to speak to the pair of you. Right, I'm Louis Mendes. This has been Charlton Live, sponsored by PSF Steel Limited. We'll be back on Thursday when we'll look back at the game against Bolton and ahead to next Saturday's home game, which is against Shrewsbury Town. We shall see you then.